Hey guys, welcome back to PommyInOz. I hope we're all doing really well. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. It does mean the world to me. We are really increasing our subscribership, and that is absolutely really impressive. And today what we're doing is we're looking at Carlton up against the mighty Hawks, and which really is a must-win game for both sides. Now, when you look at it, traditionally this fixture for our Blue Boys has always been a tough one. Carlton have only won one of the last five. Clarkson's only tasted defeat to Carlton twice in his existence as their coach, so it's something that he knows what to do and how to beat us. And really, two sides probably in a bit of a transitional period in terms of what they're aiming to achieve. We know Carlton ourselves, we were looking at playing finals football, and I think Hawthorn certainly well aware of where they are at the moment in their year and also what is expected of us. They are really trying to transition something and really look to go and bring back the glory times. They're going in a definite kind of, I hate to use the rebuild word, I think it's more of a shift in dynamic. So it's going to be a really interesting game, because you would say that both of these sides are desperate for the win and are hungry at the win. And obviously at the G, it's a great place to come, and it's a home ground really for both sides. Now, when you look at the analytical data, there isn't really anything that suggests really that there's a clear favourite. I think one of the most interesting things though about Hawthorn this year is they've really utilised the handball, if anything, too much. They're more known as a side that controls possession via their elite kicking. This year they've really started to adapt to that modern day, trying to get some handball chains going. And I think that's more from a nervous energy point of view. For me, when I watch Hawthorn play, it's not quite there, I think, personnel-wise, as it has been in the recent years. And I think that they utilise that handball a lot more through, really, I think, more nervous energies. It's interesting, though, one thing that they do really well is their uncontested possessions. They really do have a high amount, they really do look, and that's the Hawthorn way, isn't it? They look to find the trouble that isn't there, and once that game style gets going, I expect to see the results improve, because this isn't a bad sign. I know a lot of Carlton fans are going in this with the sense that it's a foregone conclusion. Hawthorn are a very elite side, and okay, the results haven't shown that this year. They're very well versed, they're very well drilled, they know what to do. I think it's interesting though, one area that I look at here that really says to me where Carlton do have the edge is the disposals per goal, per scoring shot. 14 for Carlton, 20.43 for Hawthorn. They have struggled to get them opportunities. Now, it's interesting because when you look at Hawthorn as a side, they are actually the #1 ranked side in the competition for rebound 50s, and that is where Carlton have struggled this year. They haven't quite got the ball inside there. They're real low, 18 in the comp for that. But their ability to extract the ball out the back and also to advantage and cause scoring change from their defensive half has been poignant, which is a worry for Carlton. Because as we know, our Blue Boys do get the ball inside 50. It's not been an issue for it. It's been able to lock it in there. And Hawthorn have been able to extract the ball from defensive 50 very easy. And it is an area that I would say we've got to be wary of, because it is a sign that where sides are doing it. We know last week Melbourne really exploited that well. And I think when you look at Carlton, the re-emergence of Jack Silvani this week is going to be really important to that. Because although Jack Silvani doesn't dominate the tackles, what he does do is he does very well with his pressure acts. And I think as a system when he's there, I think the structure of our forward line works a lot better. And I think he's going to have a real important job. He's going to definitely have a really important job, because their back line has none other than Mr. Blake Hardwick, who their vice captain is mercurial. He's top 10 in the comps for rebound 50s. He really does look to set something up down the back. Very efficient player. And he's a player that, you know, I would be very concerned about, because when he gets the ball, he's going to be like their Sam Docherty for them. He's going to really look to take the game on, really turn defensive sets into attacking sets. And he's a very key player down there. And he's a player that I'd expect that we're looking at players like Jack Silvani to really alleviate that. Put a bit of pressure on it, put a bit of pressure on that kick. Don't allow it easy, because when you watch Melbourne, it was very easy for them to extract it. The game plan against Carlton is very set in stone. To create that turnover, they've got CJ for that. It's get the ball to a user like Hardwick, kick it up to half back. then look to switch it inside at the earliest possible convenience, and there's usually one-on-ones or one-outs around the ground, and he's going to be someone that we're going to be looking to alleviate. On the other foot though, for us, top 20 in intercepts, top 10 in rebounds, is none other than Sam Docherty. He'll be looking to, when they do enter inside 50, to really look to change that game, get that release to Adam Sard, take the game on. Hawthorn do play a very one-on-one type game plan. They don't allow many uncontested marks against, so it's going to be very interesting about trying to get them running, get them going well. North Melbourne did that really well against Hawthorn last week, really put the pressure on, really made them take too many touches, and when they got the ball they looked to run at them and run at them hard and really try and break that system, which is very strong. It's a very systematic approach to Hawthorn's game. In the midfield, I think it's going to be really interesting here that we'll be looking at, I've chosen a guy here called James Cousins. Now, top 10 in bounces per game. This guy takes the game on, and he's someone that I would be wary about against Carlton. He looks to move the game. He looks to take the game on himself, and that is where we've seen our midfield stretched. They're all right going up against the kicking side. They're always look very strong if it's going to be a kick-mark battle. But if you take the game and you start running, that's where kind of that structure comes apart. Players are running, they're not too sure who to pick up. And Cousins is a guy that will look to exploit that. Very talented player he is with the ball, very underrated for mine. Very tough as well, 4 tackles a game. He can give it out as well as take it, and he's a guy that reads the play really well. He gets going and he starts running. That's where you can start to see them errors creep in at Carlton. You see them little moves and them chains, and it'll be interesting to see what Ed Curnow does. Traditionally against Hawthorn, that kind of reputation that Tom Mitchell has, that he finds a lot of the pill, but does he damage you? I don't think that's necessarily true. I think he damages you in the ways that Trent Cotchin does. It's not the amount of touches he has, it's who he gets the ball off to. And Cousins is one of them players that I'm always wary of. He kind of goes under the radar. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Ed Curnow, he's got a good engine on him, Cousins. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ed Curnow put a little bit of time into him. I know Cousins will probably fancy himself up against Cripps as well. We know he's had that role in previous years. But I wouldn't be surprised that if you just start to see that, Ed Curnow's got the engine to run with him, put a bit of pressure on him. It's going to be really interesting. And in the forward line for them, there's always a player that I always look out for, and that's Dylan Moore. Now, again, another guy that goes understated, but really goes about his business really well for me. You've got Cousins on the other end, who's their leader in goal assists per game. This guy's a real beneficiary of that. He really uses his skills well. He drops deep to find the ball. He's tenacious in his defence as well. He really puts a little bit of pressure on them rebound 50s. And he's going to be a guy that you'll be looking out for. I'd imagine that he'll probably see a bit of Sard here, because he likes that run with role as well. And he's a very efficient player, because once he gets the hands on the pill as well, he kind of does that like JSOS role for them. He's looking at that intermediary, he's looking to put the pressure on, but he's very proficient himself. 1 goal a game for him. He's a guy that you're going to have to watch, because he really works the game well. He works into the game really well. CJ is going to be really interesting. Obviously, Harry at the other end. We know Harry's had that shoulder injury. He's fit for this game. He's a real centrifugal to our attack. Now, we saw Lever, who's Melbourne CJ, the balmy role that Carlton suggested with Cunningham. I think this is going to be a real role against CJ that I think that JSOS will be looking out for, looking to really take away his aerial threat and free him up in the contest for Harry to do his work. It's going to be a really interesting battle, because Carlton do like to get it inside 50 at early convenience. That's CJ's strength, top marking ability, and seeing Harry go up against CJ will be really entertaining. It's going to be a really interesting battle here, because when you look at Hawthorn, their strength potentially is Carlton's weakness. Their ability to find the rebound 50s and get it to their talented midfield group is one of their strengths, and it hasn't quite worked because of forward pressure. North Melbourne really did demonstrate that last week and put a little bit of pressure on, and that kicking out became handballs out, and a lot of times handballs into trouble. Carlton will be really looking to exploit that, and I'm really expecting this to be a game that, should Carlton win, we're going to see them tackle numbers inside 50 really increase. The pressure be really brought from the off. like it was early doors against Hawthorn. The issue is Hawthorn will have that mental stigma knowing that Carlton are susceptible to, against Hawthorn particularly, a capitulation. There's a lot of subplots in this game. It's going to be a game that I'm really looking forward to see. It's going to be a tough one because on paper it's a foregone conclusion. The psychological element does favour Hawthorn. I think we should win this one, but they're the players to look out for. Let me know in the comments who you're looking out for, what you're looking for. But really, this is a game that we want to see, that intensity from Carlton, that intensity from the off. And I will look forward to it. Till next time, Pommy out.